Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified Doctor of Naturopathy, Dr. Stephen Cabral, shares with you exactly how you can reverse aging, take back your health, and live a life full of energy and passion, with new 20-minute episodes every single day to keep you healthy and engaged. Now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're here today with a brand new Cabral HouseCall. These are the weekend edition shows of the Cabral Concept, where we answer all of our community's questions each and every weekend. I try to get to at least 5 to 6 questions each day, so around a dozen each and every weekend. Obviously, all things wellness, weight loss, weight gain, anti-aging, longevity, all those wrapped into one. Feel free to always ask your questions. If you're looking for same-day answers, go to cabralsupportgroup.com. And if you don't mind waiting about 10 to 12 weeks for your question to be read live on the show, you can find that at stephencabral.com/askcabral. All right, let's dive into the questions this week. I just opened up the Teams document, and it looks like this episode 2787. 2787 will be today's show. And what I will do is I will have that set up with all of the questions for the day. So if you want to head over there now, you can obviously read them as we go along. All right, let's dive right into it. So the first one is from Toni, and it says, I have low thyroid and osteoarthritis with 2 TKR. I have a genetic form of anemia called Thalassemia minor. Could this be the cause of my problems? I'm 65, postmenopausal. I do a 3-2-2 intermittent fasting and have, I think it probably says for about a year, 3 16-hour days, 2 nomad, 2 no fasting. I try to get sufficient calories during my eating window. Shall I stop for a couple of weeks and start it again? Okay. I think it's supposed to, 2 OMAD. Got it. Sometimes the voice text on our phone happens to me all the time, writes all sorts of wild things in there. All right, let me pull this together for you. So I have lots of shows on anemia caused by thalassemia minor. I definitely would recommend going to stephencabral.com/podcast. Just type in thalassemia minor. The reason why I'm not going to write that in, answer that is because we have that, and actually not in regards to your thyroid. So just because you have thalassemia minor, excuse me, doesn't mean that you have to have low thyroid. And I would say that the two aren't necessarily related. They can be. And the reason is that you can have anemia because of thalassemia minor, or you can have anemia because of other issues that could cause low thyroid. And we're going to talk about some of those right now. So anemia could be caused by low copper, low vitamin C, or low iron. And all of those things affect your thyroid. So I would absolutely look at those. Like without a doubt, I'd be running my ferritin levels, transferritin levels, my total iron binding capacity, TIBC, on blood work, and then iron saturation. So I would definitely be looking at those to see if, okay, I really did have low iron. And then I'd be running a lab test without a doubt called the stress, mood, and metabolism test. Because here's the thing, Toni, if we don't do those, we're just guessing. And when someone comes into our practice, I never guess. Like that is, I refuse to do that. You've probably been to a dozen other people and they may have done some guesswork. And there's actually nothing wrong with that because not everybody does lab testing. Not everybody can do lab testing. And sometimes, it works. That's the truth. Like it just works. So for example, with thyroid, it could be low mineral levels, like I just spoke about, copper, selenium, etc. Could be low vitamin levels, B6. It could be the iron that I spoke about as well. There could be high levels of heavy metals. There could be a lack of, what else? Could be a lack of iodine. So all of these things matter, but it's like nearly impossible to figure out if you don't run something like the Big Five or at least the stress, mood, and metabolism test. So that's what I'm recommending. Could your 3 16-hour days be an issue? Probably not unless you're skipping breakfast, then yes, it could. But you can get 16 hours just from going 6 at night to 10 in the morning. And that would be totally acceptable for most people. 2 1 meal a days. Yeah, that could be way too much stress. And you would know that by running your stress, mood, and metabolism test on an OMAD, a 1 meal a day diet, and then 2 days no fasting. So, it might all be fine. But if your cortisol levels are elevated, then it's not fine for your thyroid. All right, now I've got lots of thyroid podcasts. They're all free. And then if you want to take my thyroid course, you can find that at stephencabral.com/courses. It's literally everything. I think it's everything that you could possibly want to know about healing your thyroid. I can't think of anything else. And that's what we use in our practice. All right, Anonymous is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for all the work that you do. I have SIBO and I'm doing the CBO protocol, and we'll be doing the killing phase for the 90 days, followed by the 90-day repair phase. During both of these phases, do we need to remove dairy, gluten, and alcohol completely? I have a celebratory event in the latter part of the year, and I hope to enjoy 1 to 2 cocktails, but unsure if this will ruin the entire protocol. Any advice? No, and hopefully, so on the boxes, there's a little QR code that you can scan, and it gives you your whole diet plan, and it kind of walks you through everything. But this is actually a better question to ask at cabralsupportgroup.com, just because you'll get an answer the same day. So like that's I don't mind answering it at all. Like, the truth is, I mean, this is what I do. It's what I've done now for, well, I think at least 25 years. And so here's the thing. You get to actually have 1 cheat meal per week after 21 days. So every single week, after 21 days, you get a cheat meal. And also, just to let you know, in the first 90 days, so it's a 12-week protocol, the CBO protocol, it helps to rebalance your gut with candida, bacteria, etc. But it's actually, it's removing, but it's also replenishing as well. So it's healing that time too. And then the CBO finisher is just to make it easier. So it's like less products to do all at once. And that's the bigger heal and seal. So you remove dairy and gluten for, ideally most days of the week, except for your 1 cheat meal, and then alcohol as well. And then you'll be good to go. All right. So unless you have a big setback, and I've talked about that, I have a lot of free podcasts on our cheat meals right for you. And if you ever can't find one of these podcasts by searching at stephencabral.com/podcast, just ask at cabralsupportgroup.com. We're here to help. We'll help you find it. All right. Thanks for writing in, Anonymous. I appreciate you. All right, Kelsey's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you in advance. I've struggled with mild cystic acne for many years. However, lately I've been getting a couple that somehow turn infected. They get incredibly swollen, have to be lanced, and culture comes back positive for staph infection. I avoid antibiotics at all costs, but with staph, as I've listened to every podcast, you've stated that this one occasion that it's necessary, so I do. Of course, I take Saccharomyces boulardii while on them. I'm just looking for confirmation that I'm on the right path. This is my plan: 21-day detox, CBO protocol, finisher, heavy metal detox. I've also ordered the stress mood and metabolism test to see my hormone levels. Also, am I right to take the antibiotic if I have staph in the future? Okay, so first things first. I never made that recommendation. I just want to say that right now. I cannot make any medical recommendations, right? No medical recommendations on the podcast, no medical cures, no medical treatments, no medical advice. So I can't give you that. That's not legal, nor is it ethical of me, and I wouldn't do that. Okay. So in the past, I've talked about a staph infection after, let's say, like surgery, and people needed to take antibiotics. I will say I agree with that. Yes, I agree with that. Anything literally life-threatening, then I would say, okay, that's a time to use antibiotics. That's my personal philosophy. I have not taken antibiotics since 27 years old, and I will never take them again in my entire life because of how they destroyed my immune system. Now, keep in mind, I was on them for 3 years straight, so there's a little bit of context with that. But I won't do it again because I've repaired my gut. I fixed my histamine issues. I fixed my autoimmune issues. I fixed everything. I'm not going to go backwards. So I try not to put myself in a position where I may need to use antibiotics. Having said that, if I ever have to, and it's a life-threatening situation, of course I'll take them. And yes, I will use my CBO finisher, and I'll be taking the CBO finisher at the same time. Okay, so that's that. And the CBO finisher, you can take the clean gut probiotic, which has the Saccharomyces boulardii, and the healthy gut support. That's typically what we do. All right, so I would look at the gut. So I like that you're taking the stress, mood, and metabolism test, but without a doubt, if it were me, I'd be taking the bacteria and parasite stool test. So that's what I would look at. I would say, why, Kelsey, why do you have a potentially larger amount of bacteria that is in the bloodstream or in the body? Is this hormonal based, or is this more bacterial imbalance based? And by using the stress mood and metabolism, you'll know if it's hormone, especially estrogen dominance. And if you're premenopausal, you'll take it around day 19, 20, 21 of your menstrual cycle, and make sure that it's on that day. And that for the stool test, you'll just take that anytime that you want. It's a 3-day stool test for bacteria. All right. So that's how I would do it, Kelsey. Jules is up next. Julia's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Just asking because I've been attempting to take an at-home hormone blood test that was purchased from another company before I discovered you. I want to do the test, however. I have an IUD and have no menstruation in order to track where I'm at in my cycle. I started taking ovulation tests to check my luteinizing hormone in an attempt to track my cycle, but I find it's not consistent. Do your blood tests require tracking cycle? Also, any tips on finally testing myself? This stemmed from low libido. I'm 34 years old. I feel like I'm 70. Yeah, I mean, we're happy to help. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you the number of women that we've worked with to rebalance their hormones. And I have a whole course in this as well. So again, all of my podcasts are free, every single one of them. I do one a day. And you can even check just for the topic of that at stephencabral.com/podcast. You can literally scroll through the images and find like female hormones. There's one just on hormones. You can look at that. But I also have a whole course, about 4 hours long, on how to finally figure out how to balance your female hormones, because it's one of the most popular things that people come to us with. And by popular, I know that's probably a misnomer and how I said that, but it's one of the most pressing things clients come to us with. Okay, so you can take the course, stephencabral.com/course. You can run the at-home labs, whatever works for you. So my ideal recommendation, Julia, is if you can, you run the big five, because your hormones can be affected by other parts of your body. If you can't run the big five, yes, then we'll just run the stress, mood, and metabolism test. I don't know the other company that you're purchasing through. Honestly, I just want to share this with everybody. You've shared it before. It is not just the lab data that matters. It is the practitioner you're working with, and you don't have to work with our team, right? You don't have to work with me and my team. You don't. You can work with any integrative health practitioner level 2. We have no business relationship with them whatsoever. We don't get referral fees, nothing at all. Nothing at all. My job is to try to certify the next and future generation of true at-home integrative health practitioners. They can help you anywhere in the world. So you can find them at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. Feel free to look any of the level 2s up. They can help you with lab testing. Level 1s can help you with overall healthy lifestyle. Both are great. Okay, so I think we'll keep it at that. And if you're using the stress, mood, and metabolism test, you heard me talk with our previous person about running, excuse me, I've been talking too much today, about running that on days 19, 20, or 21. If you cannot find that particular day in your cycle because you might have a dysregulated cycle, then what I want you to do is take the lab test on the day you have the most symptoms or likely feel the most symptoms during your cycle. That's typically how we do it, and we can work from there. I'm not sure that just looking for luteinizing hormone is the best way to go about this. I have no problem with women looking for luteinizing hormone or follicle or follicular stimulating hormone, but I don't see that moving the needle. So it's not one that I'm as big on. I would potentially look at even body temperature instead, or I would look at vaginal mucus, and would look at other things potentially than just luteinizing hormone, which can sometimes be trying to look for a needle in a haystack if you don't test every day of the month. Now, we have fertility-based tests that's testing essentially every other day of the month, but we don't use those as often because honestly, we don't need to. And it's a much simpler process to take one lab on one day. And that's the stress, mood, and metabolism. Okay, let's. All right, I want to do one more. Question. So let's get one more in. I know that I'm kind of pushing my time, but I appreciate all of you staying and tuning in. So this one's from Stacy. Stacy says, "Hello, Dr. Cabral. I hope you're having such a beautiful and blessed day. I have a question on DNRS brain retraining. And for anybody who doesn't know, this is called dynamic neural retraining system. What's your opinion on this way of healing? I recently bought the program and going to start once summer vacation is over with. It's 60 minutes a day, dedication for at least 6 months. So I'm a little intimidated, but I've seen so many testimonies on it. What do you think about it?" All right. So I'm actually a proponent. I'm a fan of DNRS, but like anything, when you're trying to heal. So there's so many people with mold and depression and multiple chemical sensitivities and high histamine levels or mastocytosis or mast cell activation syndrome or chronic fatigue or chronic inflammatory response syndrome, POTS, et cetera, et cetera. I am an advocate. I'm a fan of DNRS. I'm a fan of acupuncture. I'm a fan of other things. Don't let it be the only thing you do. Don't let anybody tell you that there's one way to heal. I think that DNRS, the dynamic neural retraining system, can be phenomenal. And I think it helps a lot of people, especially who have past trauma or a lot of emotional-based imbalance. I absolutely recommend it, for sure. What I'm going to do this. In a few, maybe take a month, but in a few, let's say 4 to 6 weeks, I'll do a quiz on if DNRS is potentially helpful for you with your protocol. All right. And then I'll give you my recommendations as to the 2 programs that I like, and you can kind of choose between them. I would definitely always recommend that if someone tests high on mold or high for any of the other things like POTS, that you fix the underlying root cause imbalance as well, which is now part of that can be emotional and stress. That's what DNRS helps with. But part of it could just be literally you have imbalanced levels of sodium to potassium, imbalanced levels of calcium to magnesium. You need a mold-based protocol. So don't let it be the only thing you do. That's my recommendation on DNRS. But also I would say, hey, if there's a lot of emotional issues behind it, there's a lot of trauma behind it, then yes, please add that to your healing protocol. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. I'm going to be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.